Hey there, Bomber. Welcome, welcome. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. I'd say it's going alright. Pretty, slow day so far. Just pulling up my list real quick. There we go. Since we're going to be, since we're not really going to be playing a lot of ranked today, if any at all, just going to be watching some more subscriber replays and make an attempt at this guide and just hope I don't trip over my words too much. Just gonna give it a little bit more. Everyone who pretty much hates tier and cash unless they're the people playing it. And even then, they're only playing it to counter Snake Eyes. The new ban list? Honestly. It was pretty much almost like it's pretty much like the last Master Duel ban list, where like the only even significant change they hit was, I think didn't they hit like Poplar or Ash to 1 or something like that? I know they hit Snake Eyes in some way. I gotta check out the list. Let me pull it up real quick, see if I'm right on that. I think it was Ash or Poplar that hit the 1 or something. Nice. Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling up the OCG ban list right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, they unbanned Summon Sorceress, which was cool, with an errata. Let's see. So the only significant hits they hit was Ash to 2 and Seeker and Tikubu to 1. That's it. Those are the only significant changes to the ban list. Aside from that, it's not going to be doing much. But hopefully it's going to be a lot more impactful in Master Duel because we're in a best of 1 format, so hopefully they'll do something good here. However, hold on. Let me confirm real quick. I gotta check the shop for this. Alright, so yeah. Don't expect them to hit don't expect them to make any significant Snake Eyes hits because the Snake Eyes pack is still in the shop. They're not gonna hit anything important like Poplar or Diabellstar or anything, especially when the shop is still alive. They want to get all their money out of the pack, out of the shop first, before they make any significant hits. If they do, they may go the TCG route, or they may go the OCG route, limiting Poplar and Sinful Spoils. But the only hit I could see them possibly making is, I don't even know. I'm not no expert on the ban list, but I think if they even do decide to hit Snake Eyes on this next ban list, they're either going to hit Jet Synchron, Link Karibo, or Ash, since it's a super rare. They'll probably like limit Ash to 2 or 1 or something, or maybe just straight up ban Jet Synchron. But they're not gonna. Don't expect them to touch any of the URs for Snake Eyes, especially with the pack still in the shop. I don't think they're gonna hit that. They're not gonna really touch it much, if at all. Now they could hit the Synchron decks. They're not gonna hit Crimson Dragon because obviously it's a new card. If anything, the best thing they could do about the Calamity Lock is just to ban Calamity itself, because they're not gonna hit Crimson Dragon. So pretty much to get rid of the Calamity Lock, the only thing they can do is ban King Calamity itself, which I doubt they're gonna do. But yeah, I pretty much just expect to be disappointed on this ban list. But while people come in, I guess I can view some more replays here while we wait. Let's see. So Bomber, you have 3. I can go ahead and pull yours up. I know Mont Blanc had a few he wanted to show off last stream, so I can check those out. So I can check out your replays currently. Yeah. Like, the best case scenario is they just straight up outright ban King Calamity, because they're not going to ban Crimson Dragon. So we got 3 replays for Bomber here. We'll start from the bottom and go up to the top here. And then I have another subscriber replay who commented a replay they wanted me to see, so I'll check that out after Bomber's replay. Dang. Against Cash Tira, gotta love it. And they're playing through the Max C, so pretty much if they lose here, that's on them. Shagri. Talents to draw 2. And this is pretty much a super powerful hand. You pretty much got everything you need. Probably gonna banish the token. No. He didn't banish the token, which is weird. Going for backseat to spin 2. Grandmaster. Ashing a draw 1. That's why you always chain block your Grandmaster. Honestly, the thing about Cash is it's really hard to declare one attribute because they have so many. But you did manage to play through it and win. Yeah, because Cash uses so many different attributes that you can't really hit him with like floodgates like rivalry goes in match, or there can be only one, because pretty much almost all of their monsters are different types and attributes. So that was a nice one. Going second. Against Branded, okay. Yeah. Forcing Branded to end on that is pretty good. Yeah, sure. Just put your ID in the chat, along with your in-game name, as well as which replay you want me to watch. Got the Baron. Well, he stopped himself from summoning Albaz. Because if Baron would have destroyed it, he would have been able to summon Albaz from the deck. But I guess you still had Grandmaster's Negate to stop it anyways. Chow Fang, okay. I'm surprised he put his Nibiru token in defense instead of attack to at least make it harder to attack over. But of course you just spin it back to the hand. Not setting your imperm, okay. Yeah, that's why I definitely would have considered setting that imperm to stop that from happening. Okay, going for grand. Yeah, maybe. Am I having fun? There's your rank. We're just chilling today. I'm currently in a diamond rank. Just gonna be watching some subscriber replays and making my Endymion guide video live on stream that everyone's been asking for me to make. Nadir's servant, so we can't special summon from the extra deck. Forgot today we're mostly replays. Yeah, again, replays and attempting to make my guide video. My only hope is that I don't end up tripping over my words too much. I mean, if I manage to pull, if I manage to do both within like a timely manner, I can do a little bit of ranked, I suppose. But obviously, playing ranked is definitely not my goal today. Dang. Surprisingly long turn, or surprisingly long duel for Branded and Sword Soul. But yeah, finishing him off with the burn effect is very nice. And then this is the newest one. Bomber, your replay will be going up tomorrow. I already have it saved and all that. I just need to schedule it. I just need to go ahead and upload it and have it scheduled to be uploaded tomorrow. Then the next subscriber replay after that will be on Thursday. Ooh, against Kashtira again. Banishing one of your Grandmasters when I'm pretty sure you have multiple. Yeah, run at least 2. You could have at least banished like one of your 1-ofs. Like your Dragite. Sunny Fan, I need your Duelist ID. Making Appaloosa. Okay, this is Kashtira. This is Snake Eyes. Oh, you added me? Are you sure it's me and not Luigi on the screen? I'll check after this. I can check my followers list after this, but I'm currently watching subscribers replay. That's not my ID. Yeah, you can just put your ID in chat, then I can give you a follow. Yeah. I don't think any of us do. We could all use some more friends. Nibiru again during your own turn. Crazy that Snake Eyes plays so much during your turn that you actually have the ability to Nibiru. That you're actually able to Nibiru on your own turn. Yeah. I'm liking this so far. Yeah, you still haven't even committed to your main plays yet. Start learning to get your Mo Yi. Oh, impermit. Just spelled it? Okay. Double imperm. Got shaman. Dealing with all those, and he still hasn't committed to that Apo, but it's gone now. And you still have Nibiru as well. And I'm guessing he top decked that droplet. I don't understand what the point of that was. Oh, okay. I think it was just to get Fenrir in the grave. Does he like remember that you have Nibiru in your hand still? There it is. Got Promethean Princess to go ahead and speed this up. Not about called by effect though. Nah. Yep, there's a Draco Berserker. Who has that double attack ability. Oh, you called by his Poplar, okay. I'm liking this one. Chang Ying. Yep. Gain attack. He can attack again now. You could have chained the banish effect, I think. Yep, there you go. That way you can resolve Chang Ying's effect. Dude is fighting hard though. 6 more turns still? Jesus. Just keep speeding this up. Like, they just have insane amounts of recursion. It's insane. I finally top decked what you needed. And now that triggers Chang Ying. Very nice. Just had to speed that one up for how many turns it was going for, but I definitely like that one. Can add that one to the list of replays here. Just add it to my notes. Yeah. And that's pretty much how it feels to play against Snake Eyes, though. Alright, so let's see, who was it here? Sony fan? Let's see if I can add them. When can you go? You can be after I check, Sony's replay. Alright, here we go. I'm assuming it's this January 16th one from this year. Yeah, definitely might have to speed this one up. Against who? Amazonas, okay. This is very interesting. Irish Sword Soul. Oh. Let me check the extra deck, see what they're playing here. What is this? Quintet Magician. I mean, these are definitely more interesting duels I'd rather watch than freaking all the crap up in Diamond rank. Yeah, nukes are fun. In Master Duel. I don't want to be taken out of context there. Just have cards that blow up the entire opponent's field. Yeah, the art on Quintet. Yeah, it's something about the, yeah, there's just something about the, Dark Magician-esque style artwork that that is really appealing. So she's indestructible by battle, meaning she can only be destroyed by card effects. Oh, another one? Yep. Yeah, it's very Yu-Gi-Oh! This is the fun this is like the kind of fun Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd rather play against. Where people can use like fun like anime decks and whatnot and just pretty much have fun dueling instead of just trying so hard just to get wins. And the thing is, I do like Amazonis. That was the thing, I did like Amazonis. At some point, though, maybe once I've gotten the decks I want to build, it can be one of the decks I make in the future where I just go into casual mode and play it or something. Was that Pain Gainer? Yes, it was. A funny thing is about Pain Gainer, that's the name of it, right? Or was it Ravenous Tarantula that I'm thinking of? No. I'm thinking about Ravenous Tarantula, not Pain Gainer. Still, making Zeus before the battle phase, that's unheard of. I like that one. That's a very fun replay there. I like that one a lot. Would I play Orchist? I don't know. Should put Quintet Magician and Endymion? Nope. Can't really do that. For a few reasons. Well, one, you need like a fusion spell to make it, obviously. I think you need a fusion spell to make it. As well as sacking 5 spellcasters with different names as well. I mean, I guess you could if you use, what was it, Flash Fusion that they used? Super Poly? Maybe. But it doesn't get destroyed because it's indestructible by card effects, I believe, since you used 5 monsters with different names. Yeah, Mighty Master is essentially your board wipe. And then next up is Windows Simp. And then there's the replay from... If no one else has any replays they want to show off, after I do Windows, as well as the other person who commented, I'll go ahead and start the guide video. Yeah, it's the only public one you have. Okay. Always love seeing Endymion replays. Against Ignisters. Okay. Is this actual Ignisters or is this a math-mech Ignister? Maybe you just didn't make them public. Honestly, I'm less scared of going up against Ignisters. It's math-mech that I don't like going up against. There's the Dark Templar. Alright, so I'm guessing... Arrivals. Yep. I just hate that Ignister's whole game plan revolves around just summoning, like the whole game plan revolves around summoning one unaffected monster. Eight negate board. Alright. Your name is Cloud, right, Dio? In game? Or am I thinking of someone else? Alright. So I'm slowly starting to remember whose name is whose. Oh, you messed it up? We can still give this one a watch. Oh, because you white woman it. Put out that high rank Link monster twice. Oh, I already saw it. It says it's just a guide. Which one is that? Which replay is it? I may still use it as a reference. I don't know if we watch this one, if he makes Dark Templar again, then yeah. I think he is going for it. The third in silver, okay. Okay, yeah, we did see this one. Yeah, we did see this one before. If you have it, if you still have it saved, I can check it out after I look at Dio's. I can see if I can find it again. You'll search it? Okay. Alright. Silver, okay. You said I've already seen this one, so I'll speed it up just to see if I can use a good reference guide for plays. Oh, is this a spellbook version? Or I'm not spellbook, but this spellbook or Sky Striker? Yeah, I need good RNG. Okay. I already watched your Sony against the you win against the Amazonas player. Sky Striker Endy. Okay, yeah. Yeah, no worries. It was a nice replay, very fun. It's what I wish more of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like instead of just meta. I much enjoy fun replays like that instead of just having to sweat just to even win in a game. Summoning double quintet magician was definitely fun. I think I can make this one as a subscriber replay for the future. I can just title it Sky Striker Endymion combo showcase or whatever. And something from extra deck with the level 8. It's not the same end board. Yeah. Jesus Christ, a 15 spell counter Endymion. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely use this one as a Sky Striker and Endymion combo showcase. Oh yeah, this is the dude who's playing like digital bugs, right? Yeah. Yeah, I can add this one there. That'll be a good one. I'll put it under there before we get into any repeating subscribers on the list here. So just give me a second here. Yeah, it's all stun. Yeah, it was Parasite. So yours would be after Jean's. Oh, speaking of, yeah, what's up? So let's see. Name was Cloud from March 8th. Moth King. Yeah. Not just Moth King, the Moth King. A bit of respect for him. It looked like he was trying to play Digital Bugs, which I respect, because back when I played Duel Links, Digital Bugs was one of my free-to-play decks back then, when I played Duel Links still. And then next up is going to be a subscriber who posted their replay in chat. Oh, you're back? Found it? Alright, which one is it? Versus the Dude 91. Okay. If you just see me constantly sipping, I'm just trying to get my voice cleared and all that for when I get, because I'm gonna start doing a bunch of talking once I start recording the guide here. Again, I'm just hoping I don't trip over my words too much when we get to it. It's just before I started streaming, I wasn't used to talking so much. Chaos Angel pass. It's the unaffected one. Oh yeah, made with light and dark. Yeah, Garuda and Jack King makes an unaffected Chaos Angel. Against Sword Soul. Dang, what are you gonna do against it? Can be destroyed by battle, and it's unaffected from monster effects. Sure, Cheng Ying can reduce its attack, but it can't banish it. But we can end up banishing your scales. Unless... yeah, you can end up banishing your scales. Yep, there's a Cheng Ying. Oh yeah, he can't even get reduced. Oh, there it is, never mind. Did he seriously try to banish Chaos Angel? He tried to destroy it, then tried to banish it, not realizing it's fully unaffected. Now he realized he can't, so he's just gonna banish your scale. Which actually helped you out because it gave Servant its third spell counter. He literally helped you out there by giving Servant its third spell counter. Yep. Evenly matched, huh? Still, leaving on 2 big bodies is nice. All I have to do is activate one more spell. Why is he still trying to negate Chaos Angel? This is a huge case of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players cannot read. And then he rage quits. Oh, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. I'm definitely adding that one for the hilarity of it. Yeah, just be sure to keep this one public. Another case of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players don't read, or something like that, yeah. The Dude. You have one? Okay. Your name is Jamu, right? In-game? I'm assuming? I'm guessing it's the most recent one, right? Alright. Let's give it a look. Yeah. Oh boy, and then I saw the leaks. I saw the leaks as well for what's coming up. I am not looking forward to Labyrinth finally getting their butler. I am not looking forward to that. That's gonna be so annoying. I really hope they preemptively hit Lab in some way before that butler gets released. Okay, going for Jackal King here, I'm assuming. Yep. Double Jackal King. Endymion. You're coping, they reduced your consistency with the hits. Yeah, they better hit Eradicator and D-Barrier. Because imagine you're going first. They activate Butler. They set Dimensional Barrier and then flip it during your first turn. That's gonna be so damn annoying to deal with. Imagine going after Master Cerberus instead of Jackal King. Bounce Servant here. Yep. Yeah, of course he wasn't. And he probably thinks you're out of monster negates because they usually assume monster negates are hard once per turns. I mean, you still got transaction rollback and a whole bunch of other things you can utilize. I just want them to hit the floodgates. Just made resonators, nice. Go for the Anima to take your Jackal King. Now, if you summon anything, which is fine, you can still just negate. You can negate his field spell, which is hilarious. And he has Ash. Yeah. Even though it hurts, you do need the draws here. I hate getting rid of my Citadel when it has so many spell counters on it. How in the world did you get an Endymion with 187 counters? Yeah. Me personally, I probably would have held on to it, especially if you needed to use Endymion's effect. I probably would have definitely held on to that Citadel. And he's trying to negate Endymion. I love it when they try to negate Endymion when he can't be targeted. Yeah. That's a fun one. It's always a fun time whenever they try to negate Endymion with the targeting effect when he has a spell counter. Your last replay? Sure. Hold on, let me just check here. Yeah. And Snake Eyes. Rank bots in a nutshell, yeah. Yeah, exactly. If I had another spell card activated, then yeah, I would have pitched the Secret Village because then you could have at least activated Servant again after that fact. You said last one? Do you mean like This one at the bottom or the most recent one? I'm assuming you mean the very last one. Okay. Versus Stark. Okay, Super Heavy Samurai with Spell Canceller. Oh boy. As an Endymion player, I do not like this card. You ain't gotta apologize for having to take care of stuff, Bomber. But still, as an Endymion or Pendulum player in general, this card is my worst enemy. Let's go ahead and speed this up. Yeah. As well as the fact that there's a new card coming out that has a similar effect. Is Soul Piercer banned in TCG or OCG? I don't know. I don't keep up too much with the ban lists anymore unless like they literally just came out. And then I forget what the ban list was like after a week. Again, like this right here is a showcase of why I don't like the quote-unquote new Super Heavy Samurai deck. Because you don't really end on Super Heavy Samurai monsters. Like, you only have one here, everything else is just a generic negate for Super Heavy Samurai. Just generic negates all the time for Super Heavy Samurai, which is what I don't like. If it was an actual Super Heavy Samurai deck that used like more Super Heavy Samurai synchros, then I'd appreciate a lot more. But current Super Heavy Samurai is just generic negate dot deck with an occasional quick effect pop. Yeah. Again, which is a huge problem with the meta. They're all just generic negate deck. I mean, Endymion is also a negate deck, but literally most of Endymion's negates is from its own archetype. The only like non-archetype negate Endymion has is Appaloosa and Vortex Dragon, and Vortex Dragon is still technically a Pendulum support card. So technically, the only generic negate Endymion uses is Appaloosa. Everything else is in archetype for Endymion. Hold on. There is one replay here. Where is it at? I gotta pull it up here and type in their ID. Because they had one. I don't know if they've come to any of their streams yet, but they did want to show off one of their replays. Yeah, still waste resources inside the deck to make Appaloosa. Yeah, you rarely make her. You only really go into Appaloosa. You can only really go into Appaloosa if you end up making IP on your first turn. Let's see, who is it? Let me type in this ID. Alright, so this person I don't think is coming to any of the streams yet, but they did comment on a replay they wanted me to show. Yeah, synchro decks like Stardust. 7th replay against the guy with the weird letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Said it was the 7th replay, right? Let me just recount this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. And then if no one else has any replays they want to show off after this, I'll go ahead and start making this guide video or whatever. Yeah, Stardust tends to. They just end up setting up a bunch of Stardust cards. Like a bunch of shooting quasars, cosmic blazars, and whatever. Okay, ending because you don't want to risk dumping your Garuda. I can respect that. Top decking Imperm. Oh boy, against Cash. Oh, it's Snake Eyes again. Let's see how this goes. I can see the follow-up potential. As long as it doesn't get rid of your servant. You have really good follow-up potential. And if he doesn't read Chicken Game and thinks he has game. Yeah, that's what I think. Thinking they have game. Nope, he didn't forget. That's a surprise. Ooh, going for Zelantis. Wait. Don't tell me that you're gonna go for... Okay, never mind. He's gonna, probably set your card's face down. Probably gonna set his card's face down here. Ain't no way he just... Okay, this person is... He literally gave you back your Monster Negate. He gave him back his Monster Negate. That's crazy. Yeah. Definitely. I'll probably do so for the, example portion. If I remember whose replays are what, I'll definitely use them. Top decking secrets though. Oh, he's going into format Appaloosa here. Yeah, I don't know why he went Zelantis. What he should have done, all he had to do was just set the dude's cards face down. He didn't have to put him into attack position. Which one of yours do you want me to watch? Mont Black. Pick what I want. Okay. People not reading the Endymion cards? Oh, definitely. I gotta point that out. It's a pendulum deck. Of course I gotta point out that people don't read cards. Yeah, that's the thing. I just gotta figure out which one of yours I watched already. And here comes the Endymion wipe here. How many is he popping? Well, you gave him more spell counters. I love it when they try to chain Call by the Grave, thinking they can like negate Endymion or something. Yeah, Endymion has the honor of being the card with the most text in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that scares players because they don't like reading. Or know how to, for that matter. Yeah. I tried to pull the alt-art Appaloosa on my other account, didn't get it. But I'm sure it'll come back at a later date. Just like the alt-art Unicorn came back. So I'm sure they'll bring it back. Let's go ahead and speed this back up. You got the Appaloosa, but not the Ash, yeah. Thanks for the free spell power mastery search. I'm liking this one. Ooh, and the Necro Valley top deck to completely shut them out. Scooping immediately once once Necro Valley hit the field. I like that one. I'll add that one to the list. I ain't got a whole lot. I'm getting quite the list of replays here. Let me see. Billy the Kid, and it's the 7th one. I know it starts with the plus. Just give me 1 second. I'm just adding this to. I'm just adding that replay to my list here. And there we go. I'll just leave it at that. And now I'll check out one of Mont Blanc's replays. Yeah. I am following them, right? Yeah. Alright, let's see here. March 24th. I think I'll watch these two from March 24th because they're the newest ones and they're in master rank, so. Because the 24th was yesterday. Going second against what? Cash? Oh boy. Okay, so this is actual Cash, not Cash Snake Eyes. Really? That's how you know that's how you know he was scared of Nibiru. You know he was scared of Nibiru because he went straight for just a 3 material Rise Heart. Sinful Spoils, the one I watched before with the Sinful Spoils subversion profile. Gotcha. Again, I'll watch your two from yesterday, and then we'll move on to making the guide video. Surprised you didn't change Jackal King to negate. No wait, no, never mind. It's not. It's not to banish. It's just to add. I keep forgetting. Yeah, I just keep forgetting. He's not actually chaining the effect to actually banish yet. He really wants to hold. But at this point, you're good, because all you have to do is scale Endymion here, and if he tries to chain negate, if he tries to chain banish, you can just chain negate now. Yep, exactly what I thought he was going to do. I've had a Cash player do that to me before. Nah, we're still on duels. We haven't started the guide yet. Okay. You can still negate the trap at least. Or you can just use Garuda to pop it. And the cool thing is here, Institution basically resets the top of your deck because you shuffle if you add from your deck, which is nice. What did he banish? Talents. Adding Birth. How many cards engraved do you have? Just one. And you still have your Electromite on field, which is funny. I'm guessing he's gonna try to immediately lock up your other Pendulum Scale. No, just going for a Rise Heart again. With promotion to Master 2, very nice. Oh wow, that double Institution is looking nice. That double Institution is really nice here. That's 4 spell counters just off of that. Two, three. So they're just going for a good Pendulum Summon here. I'm guessing to get Jackal King out, maybe? I don't know. Yep, Jackal King. And he can't chain Banish because he doesn't have enough material. And he didn't chain Unicorn. Unless he couldn't. Because it was what, I think it was, what was it, damage step, so he couldn't use Unicorn? Yeah, I think it was because it was the damage step. Yeah, it wouldn't have really mattered. The only significant hit I think he could have gone for was maybe Beyond the Pendulum. I think that was the only significant hit he could have gone for. I like that one. I'll add that one to the list. Are you on my list already? Yes, you are. But I'll add yours to the list again. G-Bear, okay. And then you have this one here that we'll watch. Alright, going first now. Shotgunning Maxi, you'd love to see it. And of course, Call by the Grave is literally the very next card, so it comes late. Alright. Dang. I love that chain effect. That Call by the Grave still came in handy, though. I'm just gonna slow this down because I want to hear the music change. And he's ashing an Upstart. Still going though. How many hand traps is this dude playing? What is this? Was this like, was this Mathematics, Live Twins, what? Oh, Super Heavy Samurai, of course it makes sense. Did they play 50 hand traps? I guess you're going for Appaloosa here. No. Celine. Okay. Ah, you got Reflection in back there. I see. If they go second, they're a lot more weak. If they go first, it's a lot harder to break their board. So you still potentially have 2 spell trap negates or more monster negates. Or you have a Celine bounce, or Reflection bounce here, rather. Okay, I think, yeah, you have a Jackal King. You can summon another Jackal King for another monster negate, which is definitely more important in the Super Heavy Samurai matchup. Ghost Bell again. So many hand traps. So pretty much that's all disruptions gone, right? Because you already used... Oh, you didn't use Vortex yet. Never mind. Now I think you're out of disruption, but that was enough. I like that one too. For the sheer fact that you played through so many hand traps. Alright. Okay. So yeah, I think that's all the replays we have that everyone wanted to show off for now, right? I can check out some more of Mont Blanc's later, but we're about to transition over to the me attempting to make this guide. Oh, trust me, I would have been losing it too. I'll be right back. I'll be gone like less than a minute, maybe like even 30 seconds. I just gotta go grab something real quick, and then and then we're gonna start making this guide video or whatever. I even have like the little thing set up here, so just give me 1 minute, and I'll be back in like less than a minute. Okay, and I'm back. Turn was funny how he tried to chain the second Veiler to negate Vortex, negating Ghost after you already called by the Veiler. Yeah. Alright, I am not gonna lie here, I am a bit nervous about this, but I'll try to stay as composed as possible. What I'm going to end up doing though is starting a new recording. So what I'm gonna do is, since I'm on PlayStation, I can start a new recording, and what I'm gonna do is, between each part, I'm gonna start a new recording, like give like my intro or whatever, or attempt an intro, and then obviously I'll stop recording once I finish explaining whatever I need to on this screen, and then I'll transfer over to solo mode and try to keep resetting my hand until I can get like a decent hand where I can properly show off Endymion combos. So that's what I'm gonna do. The only thing I hope that doesn't happen is once I hit start new recording, I just hope that halfway during it doesn't cut my broadcast. That's the only concern I have. But for now, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So I won't be reading comments while I'm trying to explain everything. So if you have like a comment or something and I don't like pointing out, it's literally just because I'm recording. So just give me 1 second here, and I'll get started on this. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Evo, as y'all know from Evo Sketch, and today I'm going to be bringing you all my long-awaited Endymion combo guide and standard list build. So for this video, I'm just going to be showing off the core of the deck, as well as some basic combos, as well as maybe a few replays to show off alternate combos for what you can do going second. So for starters, we're just going to show off the core of the Endymion deck first and foremost. This is considered the pure version of Endymion. Pure Endymion is considered to be mostly just Endymion cards and mythical beasts. And for the core of this deck, the most important cards you want first and foremost is Servants of Endymion, Jackal King, Endymion himself, and Master Cerberus, as well as Astrograph and Spell Power Mastery. Those are the most important cards of the deck, as they are the most expensive ones and are your main combo starters and enders of the deck. The most important combo starter is obviously Servant, because once you get 3 spell counters on her, she can special summon both herself as well as a card that you can place a spell counter on from your deck, and place a spell counter on both. Note that it doesn't say an Endymion card. It can be any card that can hold a spell counter, and it summons them both. A neat thing about this is that Servant is not a once per turn effect to activate this effect. So if your opponent negates it, and she remains in your pendulum zone, and you can get 3 more spell counters on her, you can simply activate her effect again. What is a hard once per turn effect, however, is her ability to be special summoned, as it says up there, the first line. You can only special summon Servant of Endymion once per turn. That goes for all of the Endymion scale cards except for Endymion himself. So Servant of Endymion, Magister of Endymion, and Reflection of Endymion can only be special summoned once per turn. So be careful when using their effects, and just keep that in mind, because once you special summon them, they cannot be special summoned again. So if you special summon them from the extra deck while you have one in the scale, you can no longer use their scale effects. So those are the main Endymion cards that are your combo starters. Servant is the main combo starter. Reflection can be an alternate one, but she special summons an Endymion card from your hand rather than the deck. And Magister special summons a card from the extra deck that you can place a spell counter on. So Servant is the one you'll be resolving most of the time. Reflection is a good alternative, and Magister is one you'll be using if you use one of your mythical beasts beforehand. And speaking of, there are 4 main mythical beasts that you'll be using in this deck. The main one is Mythical Beast Jackal, Mythical Beast Jackal King, obviously, as we covered on earlier, and Master Cerberus, as well as Mythical Beast Garuda. Going over what each one of them does first is Baby Jackal. Normally, Baby Jackal will be your normal summon as a potential combo starter if you need to get a Monster Negate on board early. So what Mythical Beast Jackal does is, each time a spell is activated, you can place 1 spell counter on him when it resolves. And once there are 3 or more spell counters on your field, not just him, you can remove 3 spell counters from anywhere on your field in order to special summon any mythical beast monster from your deck, which can be your Jackal King or Master Cerberus. However, most of the time, it is going to be your Mythical Beast Jackal King, as it is a monster negate. And since we're here, we're going to talk about it. Mythical Beast Jackal King says, each time a spell card is activated, you place 2 spell counters on them once that spell resolves. So your mythical beasts are your best ways to generate spell counters, which is why you want to get either Jackal King or Master Cerberus onto the board as quickly as possible to start holding all of your spell counters for when you get to Endymion later. And whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, you can remove 2 spell counters from anywhere on your field in order to negate the activation and destroy it. Now, Mythical Beast Jackal King, the negate is not a hard once per turn, meaning if you have multiple Jackal Kings on the field, or if you have Jackal King on the field and it leaves the field and you summon it back, you can use its monster negate again, which is really good. And that is a recurring theme for a lot of the mythical beasts here and Endymion cards. They are not hard once per turns. And here we have Mythical Beast Garuda, which is essentially an MST for the deck as well as a potential hand trap during your opponent's turn. What Garuda does is, like all the other Mythical Beast cards, when a spell is activated, you place 1 spell counter on it. It doesn't gain 2, like Jackal King and Master Cerberus, it only gains 1. But when your opponent's normal or special summons a monster, you can remove 3 spell counters from anywhere on the field to summon it and return that card back to the hand. Now what's good about this is if your opponent summons more than 1 monster at the same time and you trigger Garuda, Garuda bounces all of those cards at once, which makes it a good hand trap during your opponent's turn if you manage to go first and keep this card in your hand. Now its pendulum effect is if it's in your pendulum zone and you have no card in your other pendulum zone, you can target another spell or trap on the field and destroy it, as well as destroy it and itself, which is a really good effect for popping annoying floodgates like Skill Drain or There Can Be Only One if you manage to open it. And the last mythical beast in the deck is Mythical Beast Master Cerberus. And this is essentially one of your ways to help start your combos by getting a monster on the board early before committing to a potential normal summon. Now, like Jackal King, whenever you activate a spell, he gains 2 spell counters. And while 4 or more spell counters are anywhere on your field, he cannot be destroyed by card effects. And you can remove 4 spell counters from him to target 1 monster and banish it face up. And if you do, he gains the attack equal to that banished monster's original attack. So Master Cerberus can be good for getting rid of opponent's monsters that can't be destroyed by battle but can still be targeted. So he's good for non-destruction removal. And his pendulum effect will combo over with Jackal King. So if you have no other card in your pendulum zone, you can destroy him in order to add a level 7 or lower mythical beast effect monster from your deck to your hand. Note that the mythical beast pendulum effects are in fact once per turns, are hard once per turn. So if they get negated, they will essentially, if they're negated and not destroyed, they will be stuck in your pendulum zone until you manually remove them some other way, like Electromite or Endymion. Now for Jackal King's pendulum effect, if you have no other card in your pendulum zone, you can destroy it and special summon 1 mythical beast pendulum monster from your extra deck except for Jackal King. This is how you get your Master Cerberus onto the board without committing to your normal summon. Or if you use Baby Jackal's pendulum effect, which is not as important but can definitely come up in helpful situations, you can pop Jackal King in your scale to summon a Jackal, and if you have 3 more spell counters to remove from your field, you can then immediately activate that Jackal to summon another Jackal King from your deck, which is another monster negate. Now what combos really well with the mythical beasts, and it's going to be a card you're going to be running at least 2 copies of, is Institution. And this paired up with Master Cerberus is a very important combo piece here, because each time a face-up mythical beast pendulum monster is destroyed by battle or card effect, it gains 2 spell counters. It doesn't matter if they were destroyed on the field or destroyed in the scale. If a mythical beast is simply destroyed, it gains 2 spell counters. And so basically, simply activating your mythical beasts while Institution is on the field will give you plenty of spell counters to help start your combos. And the good thing is, Mythical Institution is pretty much your secondary search of the spell power mastery, because once per turn, You can remove any number of spell counters from your field in order to add any one monster from your extra deck, deck or extra deck with the level equal to the number of spell counters removed, but it has to be a monster that you can place a spell counter on. And it has built-in protection, where if it be destroyed by a card effect, you can simply remove one spell counter from itself instead. And like the other Mythical Beasts monster effects, Mythical Institution is not a hard once per turn. So if you end up bouncing it back to your hand with an effect like Endymion, which we'll get to later, you can reactivate it to activate it again. Or simply, if you have multiple copies in the field, you can activate both. Now on to the other Endymion effects here. We're going to start with the main searcher of the deck, Spell Power Mastery. What this does is it adds any one Endymion card from your deck to your hand, and then you count the number of Spell Power Mastery and Spell Power Grasp that you have on the field and in the grave, and you can spread those. You can place spell counters on your field equal to the number of total Spell Power Masteries that you have on the field in the grave. Note that this card is still on the field when that effect applies, so you'll be automatically placing another spell counter on the field on another monster or any other card on the field. And this stacks for follow-up turns, because the more Spell Power Masteries you have in the grave, that'll be an additional spell counter that you can place onto your field. Unfortunately though, Spell Power Grasp is not really used in Endymion, because sure, it allows you to place a spell counter on your field and thin your deck a bit, but you would much rather just save those for actual draw cards. So you only really use Spell Power Mastery, and Spell Power Grasp doesn't really work that well in Endymion. So that's it for like the main combo starters in the deck. Next up, we'll move on to the Endymion card monster effects, starting first with Magister. Aside from Endymion, Magister's monster effect is probably one of the more impactful ones in the deck, because when it attacks, you can place one spell counter on him. That's not the important effect. The important effect is its quick effect. Once per opponent's turn, you can remove 3 spell counters from anywhere on your field in order to special summon one monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on. So essentially, it serves its pendulum effect as a monster effect, but only during your opponent's turn. And you can use that to summon either a Jackal King, an Endymion, or a Reflection, whose monster effect we can talk about now. This is where Reflection can combo with Magister. So, if Reflection of Endymion is special summoned, you can target one card you control and one card. You can target one card your opponent controls and one card you control that has a spell counter on it. Return that opponent's card to the hand and your card to the hand, and then Reflection gains the spell counters that the card that you returned with the spell counter had, which is a good quick effect bounce. And similarly, just like the Mythical Beast monster effects, these monster effects are not a hard once per turn either. However, obviously, you can only special summon Reflection once per turn. So essentially, hers is a hard once per turn because she can only be special summoned once. However, Magister's effect is not a hard once per turn. So, if you somehow manage to get another one on the field, or you have 2 on the field, you can simply use it again to summon another Jackal King or Endymion from the deck. Servant's monster effect is most likely the least impactful, but it can come up in some scenarios. Now, when it has a spell counter, it can attack directly. Doesn't really matter too much since she only has 900 attack. However, during your opponent's turn, you can discard one card in order to place one spell counter on each card on your field that can hold a spell counter, which can definitely be impactful if you have a bunch of cards like multiple Jackal Kings, an Endymion that doesn't have a spell counter, Reflection, Magisters, Master Cerberuses. So essentially, it can turn one card into multiple spell counters, which can be helpful in situations where if you're going to need more spell counters for follow-up turns. Now for the main monster himself, Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. We're going to go over his monster effect first, and then his pendulum effect in second. So first off, his first effect is when a spell, trap, or effect is activated, you can return one card you can control with a spell counter to the hand in order to negate the activation and destroy it. And if you destroyed a card, you have to destroy that card in order for Endymion to gain the spell counters that the returned card had. So there's a wording here. There's wording for Endymion that you really need to pay attention to here. You have to return a card with the spell counter to the hand. If that card with the spell counter does not return to the hand, Endymion does not negate. And essentially, you just wasted Endymion's effect. However, just like all the other Endymion monster effects, it is not a hard once per turn. So if you have multiple on the field, or bounce him back to the hand and special summon him back out, it can activate again. Just be careful and just make sure that when you're bouncing a card, make sure it's a card that can return to the hand and not something that'll return to the extra deck like Celine, which we will get to in a bit. Now on to Endymion's pendulum effect, which is pretty much what makes this guy a really good boss monster. Its pendulum effect is you can remove 6 spell counters from anywhere on your field in order to special summon himself from the pendulum zone, and then you count the number of cards you control that can have a spell counter and destroy that many cards on your opponent's field, or anywhere on the field rather, without targeting. And then Endymion gains spell counters for each card that he destroyed. What's really good about this effect is that it doesn't target. And since it's a spell effect, it can't be hit by something like Solemn Judgment or like pseudo, as I like to call them, pseudo Omni Negates. Pseudo Omni Negates are cards that only negate activations and not effects. So if they only negate activations and Endymion is already in the scale, it cannot be negated. So if you activate Endymion's pendulum effect, it can't be negated by Solemn Judgment, and it can't be negated by said pseudo Omni Negates. As well as if your opponent decides to flip Skill Drain, it won't matter because Endymion is a spell card as it resolves, so it plays around Skill Drain as well, meaning you can immediately pop that Skill Drain once it hits the field. Endymion is not considered a monster until after it destroys cards on the field and places spell counters on itself, which is really good for getting around floodgates like Skill Drain and whatnot. And Endymion has one more monster effect, which is when Endymion is destroyed by battle, you can add one normal spell from your deck to your hand, which will usually be a Spell Power Mastery for follow-up. Now the reason why it specifically states that it has to be destroyed by battle is because while Endymion has at least one spell counter on it, it cannot be targeted by card effects and it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which makes it really good. Which makes it a really good monster which makes it a really good boss monster, and it's a bit difficult to get around aside from battle. But even when it's destroyed by battle, you still have follow-up by being able to add any normal spell from your deck to your hand. And what's a really good interaction with this is, as a pendulum, what's really good interaction in this deck against other effects is that pendulum cards play around Called by the Grave. So say somehow you manage to get a copy of any of your pendulum monsters in the graveyard, and you're activating their pendulum effects. If your opponent tries to chain Call by the Grave in an attempt to negate your pendulum effect, it does not work, because all it's doing is negating that monster effect, and their pendulum effects are still considered spell effects on the field. So it plays around Call by the Grave, which is really nice, and it's really good to get around, to force your opponent's disruptions if they don't know rulings about certain cards. And the last monster we will be talking about in the main deck will be Astrograph Sorcerer. Astrograph Sorcerer is your main combo with Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, which we'll get to after we talk about Astrograph. So, if a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you special summon it from your hand, and then you can choose one monster in your graveyard, extra deck, or that's banished that was destroyed during the turn he activated his effect, and then he adds one monster with the same name from your deck to your hand. And similarly, just like all your pendulum monster effects, this is not a hard once per turn, which is one of the reasons why it's limited to one. So say your opponent ashes your Astrograph effect. If you have a way to destroy another one of your cards on the field, you can simply activate Astrograph again in order to add another card. Or if you use this effect, put it in the extra deck and add it back to your hand, you can simply activate its effect yet again. Now, the rest of the cards in your deck are simply your draw cards. Upstart Goblin, Into the Void, Desires, and Chicken Game. Their purpose is to simply draw cards and put spell counters on the field. It's a bit expensive because they're basically generic draws, but in Endymion they really help you to draw into those combo pieces that you need, as well as putting those important spell counters onto your field. So these are the most common spells that you will be using in order to put spell counters onto your field, as well as drawing more cards. Now, for the core extra deck cards, first thing we'll be talking about is it's the most important Link monster in the deck, Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. Now, when Electromite is summoned, you place any one Pendulum monster from your deck face up into the extra deck, which is good because if you get drolled, this plays around droll, as you can simply add any Pendulum card from your deck to the extra deck, and then use its second effect. Once per turn, you can target one other face-up card you control, destroy it, and then add one face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. And similarly, just like all of your other Pendulum monster effects, this is not a hard once per turn ability. So if you have a way to get Electromite back, which we will get to later when we're discussing tech cards and whatnot, you can simply reuse Electromite's effect again to pop another card and add a Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. And that combos really well with Astrograph Sorcerer, because the main combo you're going to do here, you summon Electromite, add Astrograph to your extra deck, then you activate Electromite's ability to pop one of your scales, most likely going to be your Endymion that you have, in order to add Astrograph back, in order to summon Astrograph, add another copy of Endymion from your deck to your hand, and then after the fact, since a card in your Pendulum Zone left the Pendulum Zone, you get to draw one card. However, Electromite's draw effect is a hard once per turn, but that's just a neat little bonus that you have. The main effect you're worrying about is popping one of your cards in order to add one of your face-up Pendulum monsters from your extra deck back to your hand. That is the main important part of Electromite. The next card we're going to talk about is Beyond the Pendulum. This pretty much is your card that you go into after Electromite if you're missing another scale, and you need another scale before you commit your Pendulum summon. So when Beyond the Pendulum is Link summoned in the extra monster zone, it has to be specifically in the extra monster zone. You pay 1,200 life points in order to add any Pendulum monster from your deck to the hand. But unless you Pendulum summon after you use that effect, you cannot activate monster effects, and the effects of any card in your Pendulum zone is negated. So if you have any card in your other scale that has that has spell counters on it, like Servant, Reflection, or Magister, and they have spell counters, those spell counters will immediately go away once you search with Beyond the Pendulum's effect. And your pendulum effects will be continuously negated until you pendulum summon. But you can still scale them because you need to scale a card in order to pendulum summon. It doesn't negate the activation, it simply just negates their effects. So you can safely scale your cards and perform your pendulum summon. And then, if two monsters with different names, if two monsters with different levels are pendulum summoned at the same time to the zones that Beyond the Pendulum points to, you can target two cards on the field and destroy them. This usually does not come up during your first turn, but it can come up during your second turn. I have had situations where this has come up during my first turn where my opponent is using Labyrinth cards in order to summon Labyrinth monsters onto the field, and I go into Beyond the Pendulum, summon two monsters with different levels to her arrows, then I end up popping one of their cards or both of their cards or one card and like a chicken game I have. So that's another neat effect. The next monster we'll be talking about is Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians. Now this card was used and is still actually used in quite a bit of other decks as link climbing fodder to go into like your Link 4 plays like access code to OTK, but she does more in Endymion. So what she does is when she's link summoned, you place spell counters on her equal to the number of spells on the field and in both players' graveyard. So this counts for your field, your opponent's field, your grave, and your opponent's grave. So she has the potential to gain a lot of spell counters, which is actually going to help you resolve your Endymion's pendulum effect on your first turn. If your Jackal King doesn't have enough spell counters on it already, Selene will be your way to help get those remaining spell counters in order to pop those cards on your opponent's, in order to use Endymion's pendulum effect to pop cards on the field. Now, she has a quote-unquote secret effect that most people don't know about because they don't read cards well. So while an Endymion card is anywhere on the field, she cannot be targeted for an attacks by your opponent's monsters, which is really good because say you have Selene on the field, as well as like any card in like your scale, like Servant, Magister, or Reflection, if they're simply in the pendulum scale, she cannot be targeted for attacks, and it can save you in instances where you would have lost the duel. And what's really good is it's not exactly hard to have that happen if you have any of your any one of Endymion's followers on the field, because whenever they're destroyed, whenever a Magister or Servant is destroyed in the monster zone, they have the ability to place themselves in the pendulum zone if there is a pendulum scale that is unoccupied, which immediately gives Selene her protection from being attacked, which is really nice. And her last effect is probably the most impactful, which most people know about. So once per turn, during either player's main phase, you can remove 3 spell counters from your field in order to special summon 1 spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, specifically to a zone she points to. Now, a really neat interaction that Selene has is with, obviously, your other Endymion cards. So what you can simply do here is, say you need another monster negate or another spell trap negate. Endymion bounces a card with a spell counter back to the hand in order to negate a spell trap or effect, which means it can either bounce itself or any other card that can hold a spell counter. Some other cards that are really great for bouncing that's not itself is Jackal King, Magister, and Reflection. You can bounce these cards back to your hand, as well as Endymion himself if you really wanted to, and then change Selene's effect after Endymion negates in order to immediately summon back your Endymion, Jackal King, Reflection, or Magister in order to trigger their effects again in the turn. Most of the time, you're going to be summoning back either Endymion or Magister to get yourself another monster negate or an additional spell trap negate. However, there are some situations where you can summon Reflection in order to quick effect bounce an opponent's monster back to the hand. And if it's an extra deck monster, you can simply bounce that card back to the extra deck, which is another way to get around indestructible monsters. And you can also use this to, so say you use Magister's effect to summon a monster from your deck, you can use Endymion's effect, as long as it has a spell counter on him, to bounce Magister back to the hand. Then you can use Selene in order to summon Magister back onto the field to where it can again negate or special summon a monster from your deck, which again can be another negate like Endymion or Jackal King or a Reflection. So that's a really cool interaction you can do with Selene to get more disruptions out during your opponent's turn. Now, the last, I would say, core card for Endymion, I'd say, is the Odd Eyes package, which is Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon and Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Now, Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon has two abilities, but there's only one ability that Absolute has that you are concerned about, and it's his second ability. If this Exceeds summoned card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck except for itself. Now, it's really easy to get this monster in the field, especially if you use Electromite, if you use the Electromite and Astrograph combo by popping your Endymion in the scale. If you do that and then go into Selene, you already have two level 7 monsters to make your Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Now, sending it to the graveyard is fairly easy. You can either link it off to make, so say you needed to use Beyond the Pendulum after using Electromite, you go Beyond the Pendulum summon like Astrograph and another level 7 if you already have one on the field. You can Exceed summon Absolute Dragon and then simply use Absolute and Beyond the Pendulum to make Selene, and then Selene summons, gains spell counters, and then Absolute still triggers because it was sent to the graveyard to summon your Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon is your additional Omni Negate, or as I can say, Pseudo Omni Negate, because it doesn't negate everything. It only negates activations. It doesn't negate effects. So I call that a Pseudo Omni Negate. But it has two effects which both come up. Its first effect comes up going second, and its second effect comes up most of the time because it's your other Omni Negate. So its first effect is when it is special summoned, not fusion summoned, so it's simply special summoned, you can target one opponent's attack position monster and return it to the hand. Another way to get around indestructible monsters, which is really good. And its second effect, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you can shuffle one face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck back into the deck in order to negate the activation and destroy it. Now, this effect is a hard once per turn, unlike all the other Pendulum effects, which makes it a bit more balanced. So usually you summon this in defense position because it has 3k defense, and it's an additional spell trap negate or monster negate, which would be to fill in if you need an additional win, like if you don't have enough Jackal Kings or Endymions on your field. And that pretty much does it for the core Endymion cards. Next up, we're going to be talking about the generic cards that you add to the deck, which is mostly your extra deck monsters. Starting off, one of the first generic extra deck monsters you're going to be using is IP Masquerena. Since you're going to be summoning a lot, it is fairly easy to make an IP Masquerena during your turn if you have enough monsters on the field. And a cool little interaction is, after you Pendulum summon, if you make Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, you can simply link off your Absolute with any other monster that you don't need, say like your low scales that's on the field like Servant or Magister, you can link those off in order to make IP Masquerena, which can be an additional disruption during your opponent's turn, as well as sending Absolute Dragon to the graveyard to summon your Vortex from the extra deck. And then you have Nightmare Unicorn, another generic negate or generic disruption. Link it off during your opponent's turn with Masquerena in order to spin an opponent's card back to the hand or back into the deck. And then another generic one, Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Again, usually used with IP Masquerena during your opponent's turn to gain additional negates or disruptions. And usually you only really want to use IP to go into Appaloosa if you've already used Selene's effect and if you've already used Vortex's effect. That way you can use Selene, IP, and Vortex to make a 3-negate Appaloosa, which gives you 3 more monster negates, which is really good. And the last card I say you can make with IP during your opponent's turn is Underworld Goddess, which is good for getting rid of opponents' hard to deal with boss monsters, as well as when it's summoned, it negates the effects of all face-up monsters currently on the field, which is really good, as well as being a graveyard special summon negate. So if your opponent wants to special summon from the grave, Goddess can negate that once per turn. So essentially, your IP Masquerena going into Goddess turns into 2 disruptions, being a field negate as well as a graveyard special summon negate. And the last monster you can most likely summon during your opponent's turn is Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax, which is essentially additional protection to protect your monsters from being attacked, as well as, since it's link summoned, it cannot be targeted with card effects, and your opponent cannot target any other monster for attacks except for it. And since you made it with IP Masquerena, it is completely indestructible by card effects. And what makes it so strong is that it's once per battle, not once per turn, once per battle during damage calculation. If it battles a special summoned monster, you can make it gain attack equal to that monster's attack during the damage calculation. Now, it doesn't say that monster's original attack, so if that monster gains attack, it still gains attack equal to that monster's current attack at the time, making sure it always has 3,000 more attack than your opponent's special summoned monster. And of course, Avramax is the only monster that can be attacked into while it's on the field. Or, yeah, while it's link summoned, by the way. It has to be link summoned to be the only monster your opponent attacks into. And if your opponent still manages to deal with it with non-target, non-destruction removal and sends it to the graveyard, you can non-target shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. So it's also disruption as well if your opponent still manages to get around it. Now, the next, I want to say generic card is, everyone knows this one, Access Code Talker. It's your OTK option going second, which you can usually do so long as Selene remains on your field. You just simply need Selene plus 1 other monster to make your 53 attack Access Code Talker that can pop cards and go for game. Fairly simple. Everyone pretty much knows what Access Code does. You banish a link monster from your field or grave in order to destroy a card your opponent controls. However, you can't banish monsters with the same attribute to activate its effect during the same turn. Now, a more recent card that Endymion has been using is the Promethean Princess and Ambler Whale package. Now, everyone, I'm pretty sure, knows what Promethean Princess does if you've been playing ranked, because Snake Eyes loves using this card. Now, what she does is, when she's summoned, you cannot special summon monsters except for fire monsters, so just be mindful of that. Now, what Promethean Princess usually does is recycles your heavy metal foe's Electromite to use its effect again during your turn, in order to extend if you still need to make further plays. Just know that you cannot special summon any other attribute aside from fire if she's on the field. So pretty much you use her, summon Electromite back from your grave, and then reuse Electromite's effect to further extend, and then you're going to either immediately go into Ambler Whale in order to get her in the grave, as well as allow you to special summon other attributes again. There are a few other fire cards you could go into, like Hida the Blaze Charmer or Sprite Elf, if you really wanted to add that card into Endymion. But a good majority of the time, you're going to be going into Ambler Whale, because it has, if you haven't Pendulum summoned yet, it at least has 2 down-pointing arrows for you to Pendulum summon from the extra deck, as well as it being a fire monster on the field, which if it gets destroyed, you can summon, or not if it gets destroyed, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can destroy it as well as to summon Promethean Princess and destroy an opponent's special summon monster, which is really good. And then on top of that, if it's destroyed, you can target a Link 3 or lower monster in either graveyard and special summon it to your field. Which, if you really wanted to, you could re-special summon your Electromite back onto the field during your opponent's turn if you really wanted to. Or simply take control of an opponent's Link monster in their grave. And that pretty much covers it for the extra deck monsters. Now for additional spell and traps that you use that's not core to the Endymion deck that you can use, you have Triple Tactics Talent, which is usually run at 1 of, because usually it's used going second, but it can come up going first if your opponent ashes you or hits you with Max C during your main phase, or another monster effect like Gamma, Veiler, or Nibiru. So Triple Tactics Talent can be very useful going first. If you wanted to, you could include Thrust. However, it is less impactful than Talents, because Thrust is only really good going second, because sure, you can activate it going first if your opponent Max sees you or ashes you. However, the normal spell or trap that you add can only be set if your opponent does not have any monsters on the field, which is not really good of Endymion, because you want to use the spell that you have that you add with Thrust. So usually Thrust is pretty much only really good for going second, where Talents is good for going first or second, because it allows you some follow-up if your opponent hits you with some form of disruption. And the next one, which I consider pretty much mandatory in the current meta, is Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave, I'd say, is definitely mandatory to stop your opponent's Ash, stop your opponent's Max Cs, potentially stopping their Veilers and other disruptions during your turn, because while Endymion can play through hand traps if you open well enough, it is very hard to play through Ash if, like, your Master Cerberus gets ashed. It's stuck in your Pendulum Scale until you have a way to destroy it yourself, which can really hinder your plays, as well as Servant if you don't have a way to get 3 more spell counters on her. So Called by the Grave is really, I'd say, is really important in today's meta to help deal with disruptions during your turn when you need to make your plays. So those are the few tech cards for spell and traps that are generic. There is one more Endymion card that you could run, that I actually do run, and that is Magical Citadel of Endymion. Now, this essentially is is one of your ways that you can hold spell counters, because each time a spell is activated, it gains 1 spell counter. And if any of your cards with spell counters are destroyed, either by battle or card effects, Citadel gains all the spell counters that the destroyed card had, which is really nice. And it has another bonus effect, where if you would activate a card effect by removing spell counters from a card you control, you can remove that many spell counters from Citadel instead. However, you can only use that effect once per turn. So say you open Citadel, and then you activate Servant, and you have like one other spell to activate, and you don't have enough to activate Servant's effect, you can simply use Citadel to pay for Servant's cost instead to special summon a monster from the deck, which can be really helpful. The only downside to using Citadel is that it kind of conflicts with your chicken game or other field spells that you can run, which I'll get to in a moment. Because if you open Citadel and then later draw into chicken game, you'll be kind of in a situation where you may not want to activate that chicken game because if you don't have a way to destroy that chicken game, you'll be potentially giving your opponent a free draw during their turn, as well as all the spell counters that your Citadel had will just be gone. As well as the fact that Citadel has built-in protection, which is really good, which is if it will be destroyed by card effect, you can simply remove one spell counter from itself instead, which is really good because there are many situations where your opponent will use like a spell like Harpy's Feather Duster or Lightning Storm to try to destroy all your spell and traps. And if Citadel has even one spell counter, it removes that spell counter to protect itself. And since it was a spell card that was activated to try to destroy it, it immediately gains that spell counter back, which is quite hilarious, actually. So essentially, you can use this if you have Citadel and Institution on the field with spell counters. You can essentially force your opponent to waste something like a Lightning Storm or Feather Duster, while also still gaining spell counters on your field because your opponent activated a spell card, which is really nice. Now on to a couple more tech cards that Endymion can run. These are the cards to help you deal with the meta. And some people don't like running cards like these because they're floodgates, but if you really need to add extra cards to your deck, or you're really sick and tired of dealing with the meta and all of the shenanigans they can pull, one tech card you could run is Secret Village of the Spellcaster, which means if only you control the Spellcaster, your opponent cannot activate spells. Now what makes this card balanced is that it has a drawback. The drawback is, if your opponent also has a Spellcaster on their field, then they can activate spells just fine. However, if you don't have any spellcasters on your field, or your opponent gets rid of all spellcaster monsters, then you will be locked out of activating any spells until you summon a spellcaster monster onto your field. So I'd say Secret Village is one of the more balanced floodgates because it has a fair drawback and it has a risk to it. However, Secret Village is not as good anymore due to the fact that so many decks are running Diabellstar, which is a spellcaster, which means if you have Secret Village up, all your opponent has to do is special summon Diabellstar, and they can activate spells as if your Secret Village is not even on the field. Now, what is a more important floodgate to run to deal with the current meta is Necro Valley, which says cards in the graveyard cannot be banished, and it negates any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to a different place. So if your opponent tries to banish a card from the grave, add a card from the grave back to the hand, back to the graveyard, back to the extra deck, or shuffle a grave card in the grave back into the main deck, Necro Valley instantly negates it. Even though it says card effect that moves a card, it also prevents your opponent from activating effects that banish from the grave as a cost. So it negates moving from the graveyard cost as well, which is really good. So this card is really important now to deal with Snake Eyes, which is really prevalent in the meta. This card alone pretty much shuts down Snake Eyes entirely, unless they have a way to destroy it, like summoning Nightmare Phoenix, but by then you usually have a Jackal King to negate Phoenix from destroying your Necro Valley. So pretty much getting Necro Valley up turn 1 against Snake Eyes is almost an auto win against that deck, which is a much more impactful card to run. And since Endymion rarely touches the graveyard aside from Celine's effect, Necro Valley does not hinder Endymion at all. The only cards that is infected by graveyard in Endymion is Celine and Access Code, because Access Code banishes from the grave or field to pop a card in the field. So if you have Necro Valley up and you try to use Access Code Talker, you're pretty much forced to banish your Access Code Talker in order to destroy an opponent's card in the field. So be mindful of that. And there's one more tech card that I've been running in the pure version of Endymion, and that is this Pendulum monster, Amorphage Sloth. Now, what this card does, you don't care about its Pendulum effect at all. You care only about its monster effect. Now, its monster effect is neither player can special summon monsters from the extra deck except for Amorphage monsters. And usually, if you have Sloth in your hand, you usually save summoning this card until you Pendulum summon. Because if you summon this beforehand, you're also locking yourself out of the extra deck. And it's really good for summoning after your Pendulum summon if you did not use your normal summon and you have a card like Magister or Servant on the field that you can easily tribute summon to summon Sloth, so you can still fully summon your Absolute Dragon and Vortex Dragon and whatnot onto the field. However, this card also hasn't been as impactful in the current meta, because Snake Eyes, sure, while they do like to use their extra deck to summon Promethean Princess and Link Karibo, they can deal with it fairly easily with Flamberg Dragon, or not Flamberg, they can easily deal with it with the Snake Eyes card that can push any monster you control into your spell and trap card zone. So Snake Eyes has a way to play around Sloth. However, you will normally have a Endymion to negate a spell from pushing it into the back row, or Jackal King to negate Flamberg's Dragon. But other cards like Kashtira can easily get around it by simply special summoning Sloth and attacking over it in the battle phase, and then doing all of their plays main phase 2, which guarantees you another turn, but your opponent can still do a lot. And yeah, even Dia Bellstar can attack over it without activating any effects. Just simply summon Dia Bellstar, attack over it, and then they continue to combo off during main phase 2. But it can come up in other situations against other meta decks, like Branded, Mathmech, and whatnot. But against other decks that don't really rely entirely on their extra deck, like Snake Eyes and Labyrinth, Sloth isn't doing as much. And its Pendulum effect would be useful. However, you need to control an Amorphage monster in order to utilize its Pendulum effect. And usually you're never really going to be running any other Amorphage card in your deck aside from Sloth, just to simply lock your opponent out of the extra deck. And I'd say, oh yeah, there are a couple more tech cards that I forgot to talk about, and these are Mythical Beast support cards. And these two cards are Mythical Beast Basilisk and Mythical Bestiary. So first, what Basilisk does is it's essentially another draw. Its Pendulum effect, like all the other ones, if you have no card in your other Pendulum zone, you can destroy it in order to shuffle one Spellcaster Pendulum monster that's face up into your extra deck back into the main deck and draw one card. So essentially, it can be an additional draw, and if you really wanted to add it, you could cut out one Master Cerberus for it if you really wanted to. And then its monster effect, like pretty much all the other mythical beasts, each time a spell is activated, you can place 1 spell counter on it. Then you can remove 3 spell counters from your field in order to return 1 mythical beast pendulum monster from your pendulum zone, or face up extra deck back to the hand. Basilisk is pretty much the only other mythical beast you will be used in the deck, aside from, you know, the Jackal Kings and Master Cerberus and Garuda, because Medusa's effect isn't really as impactful. Because all she does is, during the battle phase, you can remove 2 spell counters to target 1 face-up monster and have its attack, which is not bad, but you'd much rather have the additional negates on board. And then, if you have no other cards in your pendulum zone, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that you can place a spell counter on, destroy it, and special summon it, and place a spell counter on it. This effect almost never comes up, which is why it's never ran. The only time this effect will come up is if you dump it in the graveyard with the other mythical beast support card, which we'll talk about right now, which is Mythical Bestiary. Now what this card does is it sends the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard in order to target 1 face-up card on the field that you can place a spell counter on, and you can place up to 2 spell counters on it. So that's pretty much the only way you will ever be really using Medusa's pendulum effect, is if you mill a pendulum monster with Mythical Bestiary. Now Mythical Bestiary's second effect is also good for is also good during your opponent's turn. Now, what it does is, if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on and place up to 2 spell counters on it. So I'm pretty sure you already know what you can do with this. You can summon a Jackal King. You can summon an Endymion for another spell trap, a monster negate. You can summon Magister for another quick effect, special summon from the deck. You can summon Reflection if you wanted to bounce an opponent's card back to the hand. And the cool thing is, if it's set, well, obviously it has to be set for it to be destroyed by an opponent's card effect. If they target it to be destroyed, you can simply flip it up, place 2 spell counters on your field, and then it gets destroyed, and then any monster that gains spell counters from activating a spell gains spell counters, and you still get to resolve its second effect to summon a monster from the deck to special summon a monster from the deck that can place spell counters. And for the most part, that does it for additional tech options in Endymion. And the next thing we'll be discussing on is basic Endymion combos, and I will be trying to explain the best way I can what combos you can do and what the ideal combo starters are for the deck. Okay, alright, so I finished my recording there for pretty much explaining the deck list itself. Didn't expect that to take almost an hour. That took literally pretty much, how much? 55 minutes? Yeah, 57 minutes. Jesus, okay. I'm definitely gonna have to probably do some trimming on that, because this is about to be a huge video once I compile it together. I hope I have enough space on my phone to, I hope there'll be enough space on my phone to upload this to YouTube once I finally finish compiling everything. Yeah, that's just the main deck though. That was just explaining the deck list though. I still have to, explain like the basic combos, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into solo mode with Endymion, right? And then we're going to pretty much keep resetting our hand until we get the hands that we need in order to show off the combos for the deck. So first off, I'm going to change decks. Going to be using the pure Endymion. Let me check the alt Endymion. Do I have hand traps in here? Okay, yeah. Where's my casual Endymion? Let me check this one. Okay, yeah, this is the 40 card variant that isn't running any of the hand traps or anything like that. And this pretty much showcases the basic combo. So I'll use this one, but I guess it'll be better just to use the my actual Endymion deck to show off alternate combos. So we're gonna use this one, and then we're just gonna like keep resetting our hand until we get the necessary 2 to 3 card combos for Endymion, and then we'll start a new recording. But, okay, while we do have a combo here, I want to start off with the main 3 card combo. So I'm gonna keep resetting until I specifically get Institution, Master Cerberus, and Spell Power Mastery to show off the full, pretty much the full combo for turn 1. That's one of the things I'm upset about with Endymion. There are so many meta decks that are 1-card combos, when Endymion at least requires 2 cards to go full combo. I hope it doesn't take a while for us to get the necessary hand that we need to start the next recording. And if I come across the one of the other combo hands, I'll probably just go along and record that one instead of doing the main primary one. That was close. Close. We had 2, which was almost a combo starter, but it's not the one I want to start with. No. That's not it either. But opening Astrograph is also really good in Endymion. I'm surprised though, usually when you play in solo mode with your own deck, usually you get pretty much the perfect hands in solo mode. I'm thinking here. I guess I could probably do with this. Show off Scaling Servant, activating... I know it's the combo. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I will. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna use the bathroom right quick. Yeah, I know, but I want to explain full combo, like pretty much to get the perfect end board that you want. So I'll record this one, and then we'll move on. You don't know what I was looking for specifically? What I was looking for specifically is opening, yes, Institution, because that's a way to get pretty much almost full combo, right? Master Cerberus plus Institution plus Spell Power Mastery, that is full combo. I was trying to get a hand with that, but I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the bathroom. I'll be gone in for less than a minute, and then I'll start the next recording on this one. And let me know if the music is too loud, if the music is making it hard to hear me. Alright, I am back. I'm about to stop reading comments again so I can start the next recording to explain this combo.